Welcome back. Remember what I mentioned in the first class about planning and preparation, that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. What I want to focus on in this class, this lesson is critical to your success. This is especially true if this is your first venture as an entrepreneur. In this class, I want to help you begin to make a mindset shift and to start thinking like an entrepreneur and a business owner. Now, I know you're ready to jump in and start working on a logo or a website or business cards or marketing. I know. But none of that will matter if you don't understand and believe in what I'm going to share with you here about your mindset. It's about choosing to commit to this process and to your goal of having your own profitable business. I want to talk about four characteristics that you will have to develop and build within yourself to make all of this work for you. The first characteristic is not something I realized until months into my handyman business. I was driving to a job one day to remove a broken garbage disposal under the sink, and I was supposed to install a new one. But here's the thing, I'd never done that before. So I watched some YouTube videos ahead of time, and it all looked pretty straightforward, but I still felt nervous driving there. I was anxious about it while driving to the job, and that's when it hit me. Probably the number one quality I need to do this handyman business or any service business out there, it's not skill. That may surprise you. And it's not knowledge or even experience. I mean, those are obviously important for sure, but they're not the primary quality that you're going to need. I realized that the most important thing I need to do this business is courage. And then while driving that day, I realized that I feel some degree of anxiety over pretty much every job I do. I feel my nerves kick in when I have to talk to potential customers for the first time, and especially when I go to their house to give an estimate. There's always some butterflies. And then, of course, when I actually break out my tools and start doing the work, I feel very anxious, especially if they're sitting there watching me. Now, part of this is because I'm not the greatest handyman. Half the jobs I'm hired to do, I've never done before. The good news is that most of the jobs that I'm hired to do are not rocket science. I can usually find a good YouTube videos and tutorials by professionals on how to do these things. I also have a rule that I don't experiment too much on other people's houses if I don't feel semi-confident that I can do the job and do it well. But I will push myself to go outside of my comfort zone to help grow myself and make money, of course. I'm usually a bit nervous going to people's houses because they expect me to be confident and they assume that I know everything. I will often watch some YouTube videos by a professional in that area for whatever the job is that I'm scheduled to do. And then I show up to the house, I put on my best confident presentation, and I bring my A game. I don't lie and say I've done such and such job, lots of times. I just don't tell them it's my first time doing it. So as they say, you have to fake it till you make it. So I want you to remember this, especially if this is your first business and your first attempt at being an entrepreneur. The number one key to your success, or let's say one of the number one keys in most cases for most of you, it's not your smarts, it's not your skill, and it's not your experience. It's your courage. Remember that quote I mentioned from the first class that we are not defeated by outside forces or outside people. The only thing that really defeats us is fear. To be successful in building and running a successful business, you must repeatedly, continuously overcome fears and walk forward with courage. But check this out. Here's the good news. And it's encouraging news for myself and for many of you is that In order to build and run a successful business, you don't have to be the smartest person, and you don't have to be the most skilled person, and you don't have to have a ton of experience doing whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, all that stuff helps, of course, when you want to get there, but you don't have to have that to start. You can learn as you go. So don't let any of those excuses hold you back from really doing this, because in the end, they are all just excuses to give into fear rather than step into courage. So the first one is courage. The second characteristic you must have to run a successful small business as a new entrepreneur is self-management. You will have to learn how to manage yourself. So what do I mean? Well, if you've worked a regular job your whole life as an employee, then you likely had a boss or a manager over you. You didn't make and set your own schedule. Someone else did that for you, and it was imposed on you. They set the hours, the desk you worked at, and the computer you used, or whatever equipment you used at the job, they were provided to you by the company. Basically, you just showed up, clocked in, you did your job, you clocked out, and you went home, right? It's pretty nice that way. And you showed up on time because, for one, you wanted to get paid, but you also didn't want to get in trouble with the boss. You did your job because, of course, you wanted to get paid, but you also didn't want to get in trouble with the boss. You didn't have to worry about taxes or withholdings or saving receipts or any of that fun stuff. When you have your own business, none of those luxuries come with it, at least not initially. You alone are responsible to wear all the hats. You are responsible to make and keep a schedule and to make sure everything gets done. Is it difficult? Not really. But if you get lazy, it'll get away from you like a slippery fish. So here's what I do and what I recommend you do. Cut yourself in half. You need two of yous. For example, me, one Joel is the boss and the other Joel is the worker. Now, my boss is not always nice, or at least it doesn't feel like he's being nice to me when he tells me to get up at 5 a.m. every day and when he tells me to get my ass moving. I don't always like it when he tells me to stop being a self-centered, immature baby, or when he tells me to stop whining and to man up. But without Boss Joel, shizzle wouldn't get done. 6 years ago, and I've told you this story, when I quit my job at the law office and I decided to work from home, trying to make my online businesses work, I started forcing myself to wake up at 4:30 a.m. every morning, and by 6 a.m., I was showered, dressed, and at my desk working. I pushed myself, and while it was hard at first, it all eventually developed into a habit to where I don't even need to set an alarm anymore. I just wake up. Oh, and I was not a morning person to begin with when I started doing that. My brother-in-law, he recently got laid off. I love my bro-in-law. He's a great guy. And he texted me the good news that his unemployment was about to kick in, and they would even pay for him to go to school or to start a new business, which is pretty nice. I texted back this: "Yo, yeah, I saw that. That is amazing. This is a time of great opportunity or danger. With so much free time, you can only go one of two ways: up and grow, or down and lazy. Don't start sleeping in and stuff. Keep to a schedule and a routine as if you have a job, and then bust ass to grow and use this time. I believe in you. You got this." So the primary characteristic you will need to do this is courage. And the second skill set is you'll need to go cultivate self-management. You got to boss yourself. Now, the final two character qualities I want you to be aware of and that you will need to cultivate or find within you are conviction and discipline. Now, I'm going to take off the teacher hat here and put on my coach's outfit. This is that Boss Joel guy now sitting here who doesn't initially seem so nice and fun-loving. Here's the reality. Many of you watching me right now will not finish this course. I know this. Soon after this video, you're going to peter out and give up. You will run out of steam and just stop watching these videos and shelve your big idea, your awesome idea, and your goals and your dream. For one, this is common with people buying and trying to do online courses. The finish rates are low, and people actually doing what the course teaches are even lower. I know this also from watching my students who sign up for my book writing course. They all start strong. They all start like that rocket shooting in the air, but somewhere along the way, they just sort of disappear and I never hear from them again. Now, I admit for a few of you, these initial videos may have shown you that starting a business is just legitimately not for you. And that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm stoked you even looked into my videos. But for the rest of you who do want to start a business of some kind, yet fail to do so, something else is going on, and I want you to be aware of it. This drop-off rate usually starts to happen when the rubber starts to meet the road. In other words, it happens when the student needs to really start buckling down, spend time thinking through issues, learning new concepts, sitting in front of the computer, and doing the actual work. And people will ease their guilty feelings of quitting by coming up with an excuse or a series of excuses to justify quitting or to help them feel better. It's just not the right time, they will say. They're not ready to launch out, or they're broke and they don't have the money right now to do it. They have too much going on to take on a new project like this, on and on and on. But behind most excuses is really just fear and self-doubt. It's scary and overwhelming, and you will need to take risks and make yourself vulnerable to rejection and even failure. And trust me, I totally get that. Like every single entrepreneur gets that. It's basically how we live. It's like every day how we live with that fear of and self-doubt. So you're not alone in that if that's you. I believe another reason why so many people fail to finish the course and materialize their dream is because they never dug down deep and got clear on their big why. It's also because I think it's also another reason because they relied on feelings of motivation in the moment. See, they saw a compelling sales video online about how some possibility could become a reality for them. They think, wow, like that is so awesome. That would be so cool in my life. I would love to have that or do that or be that. And they get all revved up and inspired. But while motivation is a great booster rocket to get you moving, it's not a good tool to keep you moving for the long haul. Motivation and inspiration are like amazing fireworks, but they will inevitably fade and dissipate over time because, like writing and publishing a book, starting and running a business is not a quick sprint. I mean, you could do it quick, but it's a slow-paced marathon, especially once you're up and running, that requires discipline and conviction. I want you to recognize this early on. I want you to see this. That discipline and conviction are more important than motivation and inspiration. I love feeling inspired. I seek out all the time. I seek out messages and books and videos and songs and movies that will inspire me and motivate me and move me. I need that. I need that because I seek it at those times because it usually means that I've hit a lull and I feel very unmotivated. But thankfully, I know why I put myself through all that, and I know what I really want in life. That is the solid ground under my feet, and it's always there, and it gives me a road to look ahead to. So how do you develop these character qualities that I'm talking about, conviction and discipline, and how do you strengthen them? Well, let's talk first about conviction. Conviction is about your big why, or your overall life purpose. On the surface, that may seem like making more money so you can get a new place to live, or a better car, maybe a car that runs, right? Money to pay the bills, to get out of debt, to maybe take a vacation. And there's nothing wrong with any of those goals. Those are all good goals. We should do all of those things, but that's not your why. Why do you want those things? It probably has something to do with freedom and peace and love. You desperately want to be free from worry and fear and anxiety and guilt and shame and all of that junk that plagues all of us. You want to feel more peace in your life and feel closer to the people you love. And can I just get real here? You probably want the freedom from feeling like a failure or like you're just spinning your wheels at some job and wasting your life. And this is what I mean by digging deep within yourself and getting real with yourself. And when you do, when you dig deep and you dig deep enough and hit that black oil in your heart, that junk, you need to let all those feelings just wash over you and come out because you got to face them. And then you need to get angry at all the junk in there and the dark voice that likes to whisper those negatives in your ear. You need to get pissed off at that negative, weak, ugly part inside you that wants to drag you down and keep you mediocre at best. That voice that tells you to give up, to hide, to just play it safe, and to keep doing what you've been doing all along. That voice that says that you are not good enough, that you're not smart enough, you're not talented enough. That voice that says, who do you think you are? You're too old to do this, or you're too young to do this, or you're not one of those successful entrepreneurs. You're not part of that class. You're a worker bee. You're an employee. So get in line and shut up and go do your dumb job. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. That's the voice you need to get pissed at, because the only thing holding you back from the success that you want, it's you. And when you feel that kind of anger and conviction, then you are on your way to winning. But as entrepreneurs, it's a daily battle, and you have to be aware of that, and you have to choose to fight. You got to fight yourself. So find your why in life, and you will find your conviction. Now, after conviction, you need discipline. It's hard to develop discipline without conviction. Your conviction moves you. Your conviction is your foundation, and discipline is the continuously running machine sitting on that foundation. Discipline is developing the abilities to do what you need to do regardless of how you feel. You can strengthen your discipline muscles by just doing it, whatever it is, right? I often like to pretend that I'm a robot or a machine or a soldier, and I force myself. Boss Joel forces me to get the job done. Now, the good news is that growing your discipline gets easier over time as that act of doing tasks you don't feel like doing becomes a habit and a part of your character, like waking up early in the morning, right? I've learned that many times if I just act and do what I need to do, the good feelings will often follow. But if I waited until I felt like doing such and such, it would never get done or take a long, long time. But if I just move and act, if I find that courage, the positive feelings of accomplishment will follow. And let me tell you, it feels good to make solid progress and to create something out of nothing, like a new business that you own. You don't write a book in a day. You also don't build a castle or a new business in a day. You build a castle brick by brick. It's tedious, but eventually, if you stay consistent and don't give up, you will stand back and say, holy cow, like that's an amazing, beautiful castle built, or that's an amazing business that I've built. You do it brick by brick, little by little, consistently over time. It's how you accomplish big goals. I've never seen anyone give a message like this before in an online class that I've taken. I think because of a lot of teachers, they're selling those courses. They probably I don't know, they probably don't care that much. They got their sale, they've long moved on, and that's not me. If you've taken the time and the risk to sign up for this course, then I do care. I really do care about your success. I don't want you to disappear and I don't want you to give up. I really, really want you to win and succeed. Life is going to happen. I know life and responsibilities are likely going to get in the way of this course, and you will need to take breaks at time from, here and there. You'll need to take breaks from this course and building your business, the business of building the business. But don't let those breaks become canyons that turn into pipe dreams. And be careful not to rely on feelings and motivation to get the job done and to make it to the finish line. I need you and I want you to dig deep. I want you to get pissed off and I want you to find your conviction and your purpose. If you have negative nannies and naysayers in your life, use them as fuel for your fire. Don't listen to them. Instead, work hard to prove them wrong. And if that naysayer is you, I want you to work even harder to prove him or her wrong. Now, I opened this lesson talking about commitment, and that's what I want to end it with here. I want you to make a verbal commitment to yourself. I'm going to give you 5 I will statements, and I want you to write them down or I want you to print them up, and then I want you, and I'm serious about this, I want you to go somewhere alone and I want you to read them out loud to yourself and to the world, right? To the universe, to God, whatever. Whispering is not allowed with this exercise. I want you to get pissed off at all your past procrastinations, at your fear and your failure, whatever it is. And I want you to read this to yourself with that raw, furious conviction. You ready? Here they are. Number 1, I will finish this course. Number 2, I will build my business. Number 3, I will launch my business out into the world. Number 4, I will take risks to make my business successful. And number 5, I will not freaking quit. Okay. All right. I got that out of my system. And I say all that because I really do care and I want to see you succeed. I know what it's meant in my life and I want that for you. And I want you to be a glowing testimony of success on my webpage and in my videos and in your life. You won't remember much of this teaching. Down the road, you're not going to remember much of what I said, but what I do want you to remember is that when you are tempted to shrink back because you're afraid, which will happen often, I want you to see that for what it is. It's that weak part of you telling you to retreat, and then I want you to get angry, and I want you to find that courage to press forward and press into your fears. You don't have to be the best or the smartest or the most experienced, but you do need to be courageous. And remember, no one is coming to do any of this for you. The cavalry is not coming. You are responsible to manage yourself, your time, your focus, your money, your priorities, and your energy. And yes, I want you to feel motivated and excited, and I want you to ride that train for as long as you can, but I also want you to get mad. I want you to get angry. I want you to get pissed off. Not at the forces or the people outside of you, but at yourself, at the weak and the cowardly part of you that wants to run and hide and play it safe. Find your deep inner, pissed off, ruthless, venom-filled conviction and tell yourself to keep fighting forward. All right? Go tell that old self to go pound sand. Deal? Well, we're coming to the end of Module 1, and we're about to get into the nuts and bolts of building your new business step by step. But I have one last class in this first intro module, and it is the secret sauce behind the local hero formula. It's the secret behind everything I do and try to do in my own business. I call it the 3 Ps. The 3 Ps are absolutely essential pillars to anyone who wants to build and run a successful service business. And the good news for you is that while each of these pillars are essential, they're not that difficult to do. In fact, they're not really that difficult at all. Okay, so I will see you there.